Welcome to the Business of Apps podcast. We invite app industry professionals to cover various topics. We promise to do our best to keep it both insightful and brief. In this episode, we have Asaf Yanai, CEO at Alison.ai. Asaf, welcome to the Business of Apps podcast.
Hi, Artem. Thanks for having me. Quite excited.
Terrific. Thanks for coming, Asaf. Okay, let's set the stage first. So, the level of adoption of ChatGPT, the revolutionary LLM-based AI chatbot, is staggering. I think it would be a stretch to say that by now, ChatGPT and all other similar AI chatbots are everywhere. People use it for work and leisure all the time. Sometimes, it feels like at some point, generative AI chatbots will be joining team meetings, not to take notes and summarize what was said, but to report on what they did last week. Okay, jokes aside, today we want to talk about the role of generative AI in mobile ad creatives optimization. Asaf, before we dive into today's fascinating topic, can you tell me a bit about your tech background?
Yeah, absolutely. So my tech background, I used to write code many years ago, some 25 years ago. But I think very early on, I understood that this is not my side of the business. That's not where I feel most comfortable with. And I think what really drives me is the business side, the partnership, the sales, the customer, and these sides. However, I'm running tech ventures, tech startups for many years, over 15 years now. So obviously, my tech background is quite strong. I like to keep myself updated and in line with everything that is happening, latest releases and the differences between the different techs. Um, but my specific background is business. Yeah.
Got it. So, recalling famous case of Apple, you switched from the Steve Wozniak mode to Steve Jobs mode, from the development to marketing, but your tech background still in you. Okay, now let's introduce Allison AI. What do you guys do, and why Allison?
So we are a creative analysis and insights technology. We're basically covering the entire creative workflow from start to finish. So it begins with analyzing our customers' creatives by breaking them down into thousands and thousands of elements, and then correlating those elements with the actual performance of the videos. Then, followed by what we called gap analysis or competitor benchmark, basically also analyzing your direct competitors' creatives and coming up with those different gaps and trends and things that you've missed or things that you could leverage. And ultimately, we're basically taking those two different analysis processes and coming up with an insight, a recommendation, telling you exactly what you should be including or iterating on your next creatives. And then, as I said, 100% or from the creative workflow from A to Z. So we're not just providing insights and recommendations, we help our customers go through the entire production process entirely within our platform. Begins with producing marketing briefs, completely automatic and based on data, followed by storyboards, which are those visual representations of how the video or how the creatives are going to look like. And ultimately, we're also creating the videos themselves.
Yeah, this is a great lineup of services that covers all bases of digital marketing. But why Allison?
It's a question. It's the most frequent question I'm getting. To be honest, um, it's not my high school sweetheart, not my famous ex-girlfriend. Absolutely not. When I was looking for a name for the company, I did a research, and I'm kind of a geek when it comes to research and what drives people. How can you feel close to a brand, for example. And I've learned that personification, giving human names to difficult technologies, something that is difficult to really understand, really simplifies this entire complex process. So I knew it has to be a human name. Then I figured if it's a human name, it has to be a female name because it creates less resistance and it's easier to feel close to. And then obviously a name that begins with an A, it's the first letter, it's a triangular, and it's the most memorable one. And preferably to have an A and an I within the name because we're an AI company. And this is how Allison came to life.
Wow, this is great. That's a smart approach. Yeah, all checks, all boxes were checked. This is great. Now I see how it works. All right. Now, my first question to cover the topic on the table today is this: how is AI changing the way mobile marketers approach creative optimization today?
So I think it changes everything, right? It changes everything from start to finish, or it could potentially change everything. It depends on the adoption, and I'll explain. I think that what happened in the 6 years ago, or in the past 5 to 6 years, is a complete change in the industry. However, if you look closely, you'll see that not all companies have changed. Not all companies have changed their operations or processes. Some, the ones that adopted AI early on and those that adopted AI fully, they are a lot more advanced now. They're faster, they're quicker, they are spot on when it comes to strategy. And also, the entire operation became a lot less heavy with costs, heavy with headcounts, and heavy with processes and operations. The others, the more I would call them mature, old fashioned, maybe style of companies that hasn't or didn't embrace AI at all or fully, I think they're struggling. Why? Because I think that the best things that AI, when it comes to ad creative or mobile optimization, I think that the best thing that AI has done is taking analysis to a completely different level. Correlations, analysis, finding different gaps, trends, etc. This became, a seamless process. And again, looking back 5, 6 years ago, we saw huge teams that this is everything they did. BI teams, analysis teams, data teams. This is was data. This is where their day-to-day job. And I think that now, with the introduction of not just AI, with high paced, robust, quick to update AI, I think what we're looking at is the new era of mobile app optimization, an era that you can really, even go to your manager as, let's say, the head of creative or the head of UA and say, look, in a year's time, I can triple our revenues. In a year's time, I can triple our brand positioning and brand lift. In a year's time, I can reduce our costs by 50%, 50. I think this is the new era, and this is what AI is bringing to the table. So from one end is seamless, quick processes that are done completely automatic and replacing a lot of manual work. But on the other side is having a strategy and understanding or having a clear path towards what are you aiming for in terms of achievements or increases, and what are you aiming for in terms of effectiveness and decrease of cost, for example.
Right. So AI, like the best feature you can think of, like what makes it so great. Number one is pattern recognition. The task that we're good at, but it depends on the volume and complexity. And the complexity of digital advertising was as such, so it was really hard to do quickly and efficiently. Like you said, you were supposed to be having a big team. You have to power them with coffee, donuts, and stuff like that. With OpenAI, you just power it with the server and paying for your account. And yeah, leads me to the next question, which is kind of a 64. I don't want to say thousand, I believe million, considering the inflation. Um, what are the biggest challenges in balancing AI-driven automation with human creativity in mobile advertising? How do you balance this two?
It's another good question, and I think that this is, by the way, this is entirely our approach, and we call it supervised AI. Okay, that means that it's not just the AI that is doing the work; it's the person. Okay, it's the expert that is doing the work, and he's operating the AI, basically monitoring, supervising, or controlling the AI. And I think this is the best approach when you look into combining creativity or innovation with AI. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're an AI driven company and you digest a lot of different data points, then you might face a challenge. You might face a challenge where your AI models are hallucinating, they're making up stuff. And there's no way, no freaking way, right? No way on earth that we would let our customers exposed to made up data points, right? This could be devastating for a company. So, and this is one challenge. I think that the other challenge is, okay, how do we control it? How do we make sure that the data is accurate, the data is relevant, and the models are strictly, looking at the data? And then how do we add this human component, innovative, creative component? So I think that one thing I said is definitely this supervised approach to the supervision of AI. Okay, and constantly feed AI with how we as people and how we as experts and how we as creative people, how we think. Okay, and the other side would be to kind of control the hallucination levels and balancing between the freedom that we're giving the AI models. And I can give you an example. We've experimented with this a lot, and we actually created a bar within our platform that gives our customers the ability to completely control the hallucination level or the creativity level. So if you go on a low hallucination level or low creativity level, that means that you're telling the models only use my own data. And that means that if you want to add innovation or creativity, you would need to add it manually on your own. But if you are, a visionary, if you are an experimental person and you would like to see how hallucinations or how creativity when it comes to AI work, then you could go to the other side and put it on a high creativity level and then give the AI model the freedom to be creative. In many cases, it works, and in other cases, it doesn't. So this is why I'm saying that for now, supervised AI, this is still the go-to approach, in my opinion.
This is really smart stuff because hallucination has been the challenge for generative AI since its inception, and to this day, I see that it becomes better, less hallucination, but not even close to be perfect. And it's one thing when you see hallucination for doing something for yourself, for your leisure activity when you don't care, and it's completely different ball of wax, so to speak, when you're talking about delivering for your client, when it would be a disaster to deceive these people with the fake data. Okay, moving further, looking ahead, how can mobile marketers best leverage AI-powered tools to stay competitive?
Another good question. So, first things first, okay? As people, human beings, we are limited in the amount of data that we're actually able to analyze with our human brains. Okay, let me give you an example. If I'll give you 10 different companies and 1,000 different videos from those 10 companies, how deep do you think you could go down by, and manual analysis on those, 10,000 creatives? Some are videos, some are banners. How many features do you think you could really identify? And then how on earth are you going to correlate this entire thing and see what's actually moving the needle and what's not? So it's almost impossible, right? Or practically impossible. So I think that the first thing that would leverage or could leverage the most is using the analysis and identification capabilities. Basically, amplify what our human brains can't do, amplify with AI. And I'll give you an example. Within our platform, we have a competitive intelligence module where we're scanning 24/7, we're scanning direct competitors' creatives and running exactly the same analysis that we run for the customer's creatives. So we can then find the different gaps and see what are the trends, what are we missing on, or what are we leveraging maybe even too much. And if you want to do it at scale, again, manually, it's impossible unless you have an army of people. So this is the first thing that I think could really, really, really leverage, quickly and can move the needle for a lot of companies. Use AI to identify, analyze, and correlate. This is the first thing, okay? And that's the backbone of AI. A lot of companies, a lot of people, they mistaken or they think of AI as generative AI, and that's not really the case. AI is neural nets. You've asked about my tech background. So AI basically is neural nets, how they run internally. Gen AI is a completely different model. It's a model that uses neural nets to generate new things and new concepts. So again, the backbone and the way it's being structured is different. I think that Gen AI, generative AI, when it comes to visuals, is progressing very fast, very quickly, but it's not there yet in terms of the level, for example, what we're seeing on text or chat. Text and chat, I think we're already in a very good level to really base our activities and processes on. When it comes to generative AI and comes to diffusion models or visuals, it's going very quickly that direction, but you can't really rely entirely on this as well. You would still need a lot of the human touch in the process still.
That's a really great point, Asaf. I think I'm going to quickly quote my favorite tech analyst, Benedict Evans, who was comparing what's happening with the generative models right now with stuff people don't remember these days, but this used to be operating system MS-DOS. They had no buttons. You were supposed to be typing commands. So you want to print something, you type print. You want to copy something, you type copy. But you always had a really great expectations like for simple command, right? Now you're just pressing the button, you're doing the same thing. With generative AI, you really need to know what specific command you have to type to get a result. And it more or less, or I would say really good to be honest, works for text, but there's not even close to do the same thing for graphics. You may end up just spending more time explaining more and more iterations what exactly you want to get visually, as opposed to just tell your graphic designer, okay, get it? Can you get the idea? See what I mean? And he or she would just catch it immediately. So just like you're saying, probably down the road, a generative AI will catch up visually, but right now, text is great, visuals not yet. We're not there yet.
Yes, but there's another thing when it comes to the visuals, by the way, and the way that those diffusion models work is the commands are the prompts, right? Now, what are those prompts? Let's think about it for a second. Those prompts are language or text. Now, in our mind, what we're actually doing, and we're not really thinking about it, is we're translating data into words, text. And then we use those texts in a model that goes back and translated back into data. And that means that within this process, we are losing information. We are losing relevancy. We are losing coherence. Okay. And this is the main reason I think it's very difficult nowadays to spot on every time every prompt would generate the image or the video that you want. It's almost impossible. Again, exactly because of this. You would need to iterate hundreds or sometimes thousands of times until you get the actual output that you need. By the way, Kobe, my partner, is the tech genius, but we kind of solved this problem with the way we do prompt engineering. Our way of doing prompt engineering is completely different. We are avoiding those, it's called the latent space. We're avoiding this space of loss of information very heavily by not using textual prompts, not using language based prompts. We are using code. And this is a crack that basically, catapulted us into the future and helped us and our customers, nail or hit the nail every single time. Every single prompt generates the highest level of quality of output.
Another great point, Asaf. Language is not perfect, not even close to express our thoughts, but this is the topic for a completely other episode. And to land the plane for this one, I'm going to ask you the final question. How can people get in touch with you to get more information about what you do?
So first, I really love speaking to a lot of people, and I like educating the market. I see myself as a delivery person of what's new and what's happening and so on. So I think first the best way is just reach out to me on LinkedIn. I always accept invitations. Send me a message. That's the first way. The second way obviously is go to the Alison.ai website. You can reach out to me or the team via the website as well. And ultimately, email, events, conferences, we're all over the place. We have offices in three in the three main locations, including UK and the US. So I do invite everyone who's listening to this podcast to reach out to me or the team, and we would love to speak with you and provide some insights and education on what we do exactly and what is the future.
Great. Asaf, thank you so much for coming on our show and sharing your knowledge and experience. Thank you. It was great. Bye bye.
Thank you, Artem. Thank you.
To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe, and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer if you're still listening podcasts on a computer, as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.